Stop. Before you spend another second fantasizing about retirement, you need to hear this, because what nobody is telling you could completely blindside you the moment you walk out of that office for the last time. Retirement is not just a reward. For millions of people, it becomes the most disorienting, identity-shattering transition of their entire lives. We are talking about people who worked hard, saved smart, did everything right, and still found themselves lost, restless, and completely unprepared for what came next. Not because they ran out of money, but because they never saw what was quietly being stripped away from them the second they stopped working. 7 things. 7 things that vanish from your life the moment you retire, and most people do not even realize they are gone until the damage is already done. So if you think retirement is nothing but golf courses and lazy mornings, buckle up, because what you are about to discover might be the most important thing you hear before you make that leap. And number 7 is the one that hits hardest. But here is what most retirement planning conversations completely miss. Retirement is not just a financial transition. It is one of the most profound psychological shifts a person can experience in their entire lifetime. And the numbers back this up. Millions of retirees every single year walk into this new chapter feeling genuinely blindsided, not because they ran out of money, but because they were never warned about what would happen inside their minds and hearts the moment that final workday ended. The emotional and psychological shifts that follow retirement are real, they are powerful, and they catch even the most prepared people completely off guard. So what do those shifts actually look like when they show up in everyday life? That is exactly what we are about to unpack together, one by one. Let me be brutally honest with you right now, because nobody else is going to say this to your face. Retirement is quietly destroying people, and the ones it destroys the fastest are the ones who spent their entire careers doing everything right. Saving diligently, working hard, counting down the days until freedom. And then freedom arrives, and within months, sometimes weeks, something starts to crack. Energy drops, purpose evaporates. The days blur together into one long, shapeless stretch of nothing. This is not a rare case. This is not bad luck. This is a pattern that plays out over and over again, and it is happening to smart, capable, accomplished people who had absolutely no idea it was coming for them. At first, retirement feels like a long overdue vacation. Sleeping in feels glorious. Having nowhere to be feels liberating. For the first week or two, most retirees describe it as pure bliss, almost like getting away with something. But then, quietly, something shifts. The days start blurring together. The freedom that felt exciting begins feeling formless. That creeping restlessness sets in, and many retirees cannot explain why they feel unsettled when everything looks perfect on paper. Here is what is actually happening beneath the surface. The human brain is wired to thrive on structure. Routine reduces decision fatigue, creates a sense of progress, and anchors our sense of time. When that structure vanishes overnight, the brain essentially loses its scaffolding. Without realizing it, work was not just filling your hours, it was organizing your entire psychological world. But losing your routine is just the beginning. There is something even deeper that retirement quietly takes away, and that is your sense of purpose and identity. Think about it. For 30, maybe 40 years, when someone asks who you are, your answer starts with what you do. I am an engineer. I am a teacher. I am a manager. That job title is not just a description, it becomes a core part of how you see yourself. Then retirement arrives, and overnight that label disappears. No title, no role, no professional identity. And for many retirees, that loss is genuinely disorienting. Research shows that people who tie their self-worth heavily to their careers often struggle the most in retirement. It is not laziness or ingratitude, it is a deep psychological shift that nobody warned them was coming. Now let's talk about the third thing that quietly disappears, and this one catches people completely off guard. It's your work social circle. Think about it for a moment. Your colleagues, your office friendships, the casual conversations by the coffee machine, the lunch runs, the group chats, the Friday afternoon laughs. These interactions make up an enormous portion of most people's social lives, often more than they ever realized. When you're working, connection happens automatically. You don't have to plan it or seek it out. It just exists as part of your daily environment. But the moment retirement begins, those daily connections don't gradually fade. They often disappear almost overnight. People you spent more waking hours with than your own family suddenly become distant memories. And what fills that space? For many retirees, the honest answer is silence, and with it, an unexpected and deeply uncomfortable loneliness. The numbers here are sobering. Studies show that nearly 1 in 3 retirees report feeling lonely on a regular basis, and that loneliness carries real health consequences, including increased risk of depression, cognitive decline, and even heart disease. Think about someone like David, a project manager for 30 years who grabbed coffee every morning with the same 5 colleagues. The day he retired, those daily check-ins simply stopped. No one meant for it to happen. Life just moved on without him. Here is the painful truth about workplace friendships. Most of them are built on proximity and shared context, not deep personal bonds. Remove the office and the glue disappears. This is arguably one of the most underestimated losses in retirement, rarely discussed during financial planning conversations, yet quietly devastating to mental health and overall well-being. Now let us talk about the fourth thing that quietly disappears in retirement, and this one affects your brain in ways that are genuinely alarming if left unaddressed. That thing is mental stimulation and cognitive engagement. Think about what work actually does for your mind every single day. It forces you to solve problems, make decisions under pressure, learn new systems, navigate complex relationships, and stay mentally sharp. Your brain is essentially getting a workout without you even realizing it. Then retirement arrives, and suddenly that daily mental exercise stops. Without intentional replacement activities, many retirees notice a gradual but very real decline in mental sharpness. Memory feels fuzzier. Focus becomes harder. The troubling part is that this decline sneaks up so slowly that most people do not connect it back to the loss of cognitive engagement that work once provided automatically. Now let's talk about the fifth thing that quietly disappears in retirement, and this one hits even the most financially prepared people hard. Financial predictability vanishes the moment that steady paycheck stops arriving. For decades, you knew exactly what was coming in every 2 weeks. Retirement flips that completely. Suddenly, you are drawing down from savings you spent a lifetime building, and that shift creates a deep psychological stress that most people are simply not ready for. Will the money last? What if the market drops? What if healthcare costs spike? These questions begin circling constantly. And here is what is fascinating. This anxiety actually changes how retirees spend money. Many start holding back on enjoyment, even when they can genuinely afford it, quietly sacrificing their quality of life out of fear. This psychological shift has a name. It is the difference between accumulation mode and distribution mode. For 30 or 40 years, saving money felt responsible, even virtuous. Every dollar deposited was a win. But in retirement, spending that same money can trigger genuine guilt and fear, even when the math says you are completely fine. Retirees often hesitate to book the vacation, upgrade the car, or enjoy a nice dinner because something deep inside still whispers that spending is wrong. This is not a budgeting problem, it is a psychological one. The brain does not automatically rewire itself the moment you retire. Studies show that many retirees underspend significantly, living far below their means out of anxiety rather than necessity. Most financial advisors focus on growing your wealth, but very few prepare you for the emotional weight of actually using it. Now let's talk about something that rarely gets discussed openly, and that is the quiet disappearance of feeling needed and relevant. When you are working, people depend on you. Your expertise solves real problems. Your presence in a meeting actually matters. That sense of being essential is deeply tied to your self-worth, even if you never consciously realized it. Then retirement arrives, and almost overnight, nobody is calling you for answers anymore. No one needs your sign-off or your experience. That invisible shift can quietly erode your confidence and happiness in ways that are hard to even articulate. Many retirees describe a strange hollowness, not depression exactly, but a fading sense of significance. And because it sounds ungrateful to admit, most people suffer through it silently rather than addressing it head-on. And this loss of relevance goes even deeper than just feeling unneeded. Many retirees describe a creeping sense of invisibility, like the world is moving forward without them. Technology evolves rapidly, new platforms emerge, workplace jargon shifts, and cultural conversations change direction constantly. Someone who retired at 62 might feel completely out of touch within just 2 or 3 years. The references people make, the tools they use, the trends they discuss, all of it becomes unfamiliar territory. And because retirees are no longer inside those daily conversations, there is no natural way to stay connected to them. It is not about intelligence or capability, it is simply about proximity. When you step away from the rooms where things are happening, you gradually stop hearing what is being said inside them, and that silence can feel surprisingly isolating. And now we arrive at the 7th and final thing that quietly disappears in retirement, which is the future-oriented mindset. Think about how your working years were structured. You were always moving towards something. A promotion, a raise, a savings milestone, a career goal. There was always a next chapter being written. That forward momentum gave life a sense of direction and energy that most people never consciously noticed until it was gone. When retirement begins, that momentum can suddenly stop. And without a clear next milestone to chase, some retirees describe feeling psychologically flat, almost like a car engine still running, but with nowhere to drive. The calendar looks open, the pressure is gone, but strangely, so is the excitement. That quiet drift catches many retirees completely off guard, and it is more common than anyone talks about. Research in positive psychology consistently shows that anticipation itself is a powerful source of happiness. When people have something meaningful on the horizon, whether a trip, a project, or a personal goal, their brain releases dopamine, fueling motivation and emotional well-being. This is not a small thing. It is actually fundamental to feeling alive and engaged. Without new goals or dreams to pursue, retirees can gradually drift into a passive existence that feels comfortable on the surface. Days blend together, weeks pass without milestones, and life begins to feel like it is simply happening rather than being actively lived. This quiet flatness is not depression in the clinical sense, but it slowly drains enthusiasm, curiosity, and vitality in ways that are hard to name but impossible to ignore. The absence of anticipation is more dangerous than most people realize. Now here is the most important thing we want you to hear. None of these 7 losses are inevitable, not a single one. They are common, yes, but common does not mean unavoidable. The difference between retirees who thrive and those who quietly struggle often comes down to one thing, and that is awareness. When you know what is coming, you stop being a passive passenger in your own retirement. You become someone who plans intentionally, who sees the challenges before they arrive, and who builds a life that accounts for them. Most people walk into retirement completely blindsided because nobody warned them about these emotional and psychological shifts. But you now have something most retirees never had, which is a clear picture of what to expect. And that changes everything about how you can prepare. Now that you know what is coming, let us talk about what you can actually do about it. Replacing structure does not mean recreating your old work schedule. It means designing a personal daily framework that feels meaningful to you. Start with a consistent morning routine, waking up at the same time, enjoying your coffee, taking a walk, or journaling for 15 minutes. These small anchors set the tone for your entire day. Then schedule your week with intention. Block time for fitness 3 or 4 days a week. Commit to a volunteer role every Tuesday morning. Dedicate Wednesday afternoons to that woodworking project or photography hobby you never had time for. The goal is not rigidity, it is rhythm, a gentle, purposeful flow that gives each day a reason to begin. Now let's talk about rebuilding your social world and reclaiming your identity. Just because your work friendships fade does not mean meaningful connection is out of reach. The key is being intentional and proactive about finding your people in new places. Join a local club centered around something you genuinely love, whether that is hiking, chess, gardening, or photography. Take a class at a community college or arts center. Travel with group tours where friendships form naturally around shared experiences. Consider mentoring younger professionals or volunteering with organizations that align with your values. These spaces give you something incredibly powerful, which is community built around who you actually are rather than where you happen to work. And here is something worth holding on to. New friendships are absolutely possible at any age. Retirement can be the beginning of some of the most meaningful relationships of your entire life. Now let us talk about keeping your brain fired up and your sense of purpose burning strong. The mental stimulation gap is very real, but it is also one of the most exciting to fill. Retirement is not the end of learning, it is honestly the beginning of learning on your own terms. You can finally take that photography class, write the book you always talked about, launch a small passion-driven business, or dive deep into a subject that genuinely fascinates you. Research consistently shows that the brain thrives when it faces new challenges and fresh experiences. Volunteering for causes you care about also delivers a powerful sense of meaning that work once provided. The passions you kept pushing aside for decades are waiting. Retirement hands you the time to finally say yes to all of them. Now let us talk about money and mindset together, because they are deeply connected in retirement. If spending your own savings feels uncomfortable or even wrong, working with a financial planner can genuinely change that. A good planner helps you see your money as a tool for living, not just a number to protect. They give you permission, backed by real data, to enjoy what you have built. Beyond finances, you need goals, not vague wishes, but actual things to move toward. Plan that trip to Portugal. Start the memoir you have been putting off for 20 years. Set a goal to attend every single one of your grandchildren's milestones. These forward-looking targets, big or small, give each year a sense of direction and meaning that keeps your spirit genuinely alive. Retirement is not the finish line. It is the starting point of something entirely new, and everything that quietly disappears can be replaced with something far more intentional and deeply fulfilling. The structure, the purpose, the friendships, the mental engagement, the financial confidence, the sense of relevance, and the forward-looking mindset, none of these have to vanish permanently. They simply need to be rebuilt on your own terms. That is actually a beautiful opportunity. Whether retirement is 1 year away or 10 years away, the time to start thinking about these 7 areas is right now. Do not wait until you are already feeling lost. Begin designing the life you actually want. If any of these 7 things resonated with you, drop a comment below and share which one surprised you the most. We would love to hear your thoughts.